Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Storytime with Tally Ray. I'm excited again for today's episode. We're going to be doing another Am I the Jerk series. You know, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite series. I love listening to these stories when other storytellers do them. I really like it when there's updates. But recently, today I was reading through it, and a lot of it's like, Am I the Jerk? And Reddit dubs the person the jerk, and I read it. And I'm like, that person's not a jerk. So we're going to talk about that today. Also, the main focus will be between husbands and wives. So there's just 3 stories today. One of them's a little on the longer side, and we'll get some input on that. See what other Redditors think, if they're the jerk or not, and we'll discuss that. Also today I want to give a shout out if you are one of those people that like to try and have a little bit less of an imprint on the earth today, like using plastics and easily throwawayable items. I just want to give a shout out to Zero Waste Outlet. If you are looking to cut down on some of the ways you throw away garbage, so instead of like using paper towels, you can use cloth. They have what's called the unpaper towel. It's amazing. If you use plastic scrubbers for doing dishes, they have wooden ones that are amazing. I use them myself. This is not a paid advertisement. This is just me telling you how amazing they are. There's tons of different products. Everything is recyclable or biodegradable. So check it out. ZeroWasteOutlet.com. It's locally owned. It's a small business. They are amazing people. Give it a check out. Our first story today comes from the Am I the Jerk category of Reddit, and it is, Am I the jerk for giving my wife an online application to work at Arby's and telling her she isn't doing her share, so she needs to go back to work, and I don't care where? Okay, let's see the verdict. My wife and I have been married for almost 20 years. Before she quit her job, everything was pretty good. I made more than her, but we still did 50-50 chore split and had 2 kids. Our 2 kids are in middle school and high school. They have their own chores and are pretty independent. They get themselves up for school and on the bus, no issues. My wife used to work at a stressful job. I have been telling her for years to look at other jobs that have less stress before it blows up. She didn't, had a breakdown, and quit her job with no notice. That was 5 months ago. And I told her I can support us, but she needs to help take up doing the chores and look for a new job. She has not kept up her end of the deal. I come home to chores every single day. I work more hours now, but have to do a ton of chores when I get home. I am getting close to burnout. It is work, 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 and then get home for more work. Last month, I sat her down and told her to write down what she did this week. It was a really short list. I wrote down what I did this week, and it was much longer. She told me she got the point and would do better. That lasted for about a week, and then it went back to her doing nothing. I had my breaking point yesterday. I worked 10 hours and then came home to a dirty kitchen and no food since she didn't go food shopping. I pulled up an application for Arby's and sent it to her. I informed her she has this month to get a job, and I don't care where. Clearly, she isn't helping with the house, so she needs to make money to help out. This started an argument, and she thinks I'm being a huge jerk. It's only been a few months since she quit. Also, I'm not being compassionate enough, and she needs more time to recover. Am I the jerk? Well, I know what I think. I'm going to read a couple comments before I delve into my thoughts. Let's see. The comments are actually pretty wild. So I think I'm just going to give my input. A lot of people are like, no, you're not the jerk. But honestly, reading it, yeah, you're kind of a jerk. And where I come to this is So I used to work in a high stress environment. I worked in psychiatric residential. I did it for 8 years almost, up until my oldest was 2. And honestly, when I actually got fired, but it was more of a covering their butts because something really bad happened. So they let my supervisor and me go just to be like, oh, look, 2 people quit. So we fixed the problem because we quote unquote quit. We didn't quit. And they basically paid us for our silence because they messed up big time. Our administrative did. And we knew it. But to save face in the community, that's what happened. It took me a while to go back to work, or even to want to think about working. And my guess is the reporting person's wife is probably suffering from depression. She probably could use a lot more compassion. I love how she actually told him, you're not being compassionate enough. And frankly, he's probably not. I don't think you're the jerk for feeling the way you feel. My mom used to give me this analogy where when you have 2 people, any kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship, a brother and sister, little things happen, like something irks you. And if you just imagine, like, you got 2 people looking at each other. One person irks the other person, you throw a piece of garbage in between them. And then something else happens, another piece of garbage goes in. And while they're just these little things that are happening, pretty soon, you look and all you can see is garbage because it's all built up so much and you guys haven't worked it out. And then that's when the blow up happens. So in my opinion, no, you're not the jerk for feeling this way. Your response was really, you are the jerk in your response, just handing her an application. My guess is she is deeply wounded from her job and she needs as much support and compassion she can get. And even with the chores around the house, yeah, that needs to be a conversation. And maybe it needs to be a weekly conversation. Some people have budget meetings. Maybe you guys can have a chore meeting. I mean, it's not, you are a team. And it's possible that there could be some therapy needed. I know sometimes people throw out that therapy word and they're like, oh no, not that, I'm not crazy. You're not crazy, you're right. You just need help processing something with someone else that might be able to offer an ear, offer compassion and empathy. So that is my 2 cents on that. I don't think you're the jerk, but I do think you are a jerk for responding the way you did, if that makes sense. Our next story is also an Am I the Jerk? And it's, am I the jerk for telling my wife to quit her job because she could do it with our sons instead? I'm assuming he means work from home instead of working out in the land of the workforce. So for context, me, male 29, and my wife, female 28, have been married for the past 4 years and have been blessed with 2 sons. Recently, my wife has been complaining about the difficulty of her job more and the amount of work she has to put in following a workday. I work about 50 to 60 hours a week, whereas she works 40 hours a week, and I have tried to increase the amount of home space work, not homework, I do over the weekends lately, just helping out around the house. The problem for me lies in the fact that we both take kids to daycare, which costs a pretty big chunk of our budget, and is more or less 70 to 80% of her income per month. I make enough for all of us to be more or less the same in the same financial situation, and with a few more overtime hours a week if she were to quit her job. Since she's been complaining recently, when she started venting yesterday, I told her she might as well quit and just take care of the boys, and I'd bump up a few hours since it's pretty much the same type of work. She works in social care. According to her, I'm minimizing her work and just not focusing on the real problem. I've tried to talk with her about why she doesn't want to just quit and if she keeps whining about the job in the first place, but haven't had much success today. Am I the jerk? Now Reddit, it's interesting. Reddit has dubbed this person the jerk. And I look at this and I read this and I kind of see the heart behind it. I personally don't think he's the jerk. That being said, I think saying, well, you're just whining, you're just venting, all you do is whine about it. I think where his response was quick, and he said, well, we don't need your income. It's probably the attitude she took it with. And so that's why she feels like he's minimizing her work. There's an edit real quick. Just because it kind of plays in. Edit. It's my fault for not including this, but a lot of people are assuming this is day-to-day venting. It isn't. She wants to pursue a career in her degree, which is digital marketing, and sees no future in social care, which is why I asked her, why not just quit? There's always two mindsets. You've got women who sometimes just want to vent, and then you have men who want to fix it. And I think this is a classic case where the wife is saying, this drives me crazy. I've worked in social care in the social field, and it's frustrating. It's hard. I get it. And then so he's just like, hey, let's fix this. You can quit. We don't have to pay childcare, and you can do the childcare. And, it will come up kind of a wash. Honestly, I think that's logical thinking. As the moment I became a mom, and I'm not saying this is how this lady felt either, but the moment I became a mom, I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be a stay-at-home mom. It was not practical. It was just like, that's not going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to happen for a long time. And it didn't happen for a long time. But then I was also in a very stressful job, and I don't know if it'd be considered social care. I was the administrative person at a preschool, and I lost my job. And it was sudden and like for no reason. And I was just like, what? But literally 3 days later, my husband got a promotion at work and made enough that if we didn't have childcare expenses, I could stay home and raise my children. I remember always like telling my husband, I just want to raise my kids. I mean, we had great childcare providers. They were all in home, and I trusted them completely. But there's just something to say about raising your own children. And so I've been a stay-at-home mom for almost 5 years now. In fact, it'll be 5 years at the end of this month. And that just baffles me. I have a daughter that's almost 4, and I have been her sole caregiver for 4 years. My kids for the last 4 years, have only known me at home, and it's been such a blessing for our family. And yes, we've had to make cutbacks, and yes, we've had to sacrifice things, but in the long run, I think it's so worth it. So no, honestly, I don't think you're the jerk. I think it's the presentation may have gone a little bit better. Maybe rethink your thoughts and present it in a way that, hey, let's look at our budget. Maybe you could be a stay-at-home mom. Let's see what that would entail. Maybe watch an extra kid a couple days a week to get a little extra cash. I mean, there are ways to be a one-income family. It's hard, but it can be done. Our next story is kind of a doozy. So if you got some tea, pull up some tea for this one, because it's kind of long. But it's, am I the jerk for telling my husband that I no longer want to be involved with anything regarding his child? Sounds harsh. Let's find out. I, 26, have been married to my husband, 27, for 4 years, and he's a child, 6, from a previous relationship. The kiddo stays with the baby mama in a different province. Right, so on to the current issue. Baby mama has, for as long as I have known my hubby, has been a bit of a problem, and I'll give you some examples. 1, she lied about the kiddo being deathly ill and on life support. 2, provided a fake hospital bill in regard to the above. 3, lied to my father-in-law about hubby paying child support, so she was receiving money from both my hubby and father-in-law. 4, lied to both my father-in-law and I about hubby knocking her up again when she visited previously. 5, lied to my in-laws about hubby hiding the kiddo's birth certificate. 6. Performs every few months about how she cannot manage and is sending the kiddo to live with us. And 7. Demands money on top of the child support she is receiving. I'm just going to stop there for a second because honestly, right there, they're obviously not in America, so I don't know. I don't know what the law is like, especially regarding child care, child services like this in other countries. I'd get a lawyer. I'd be like, okay, because all of this looks like something you can have a paper trail for, and I'd go for full custody. But that's just me. So here, let's move on. That's just a few things off the top of my head. I tried speaking to hubby today, and I basically told him that he needs to grow a spine because she truly takes advantage at times, and he got upset with me and said that I'm disrespectful. But here's the thing. The kiddo's school's fees and child support are paid every single month without fail. Yet she always demands more, and hubby always just gives in, even if it will negatively affect us. I'm not saying that he should not support the kiddo. He most definitely should do that, as it's his responsibility. My problem lies with the fact that she cannot hold a job, and even when she does have one, the tantrums and money stories never end. It's never a question for help, it's you need to pay for X, Y, and Z. Previously, when I used to give advice, he would tell me I'm not a parent, so I just don't know what I'm talking about. Lately, if I speak up or give advice, he just gets annoyed with me, and apparently I have no way of speaking. He literally just refuses to grow a backbone when it comes to her. I have had it up to the end of time with this behavior from both of them, and he just can't understand that she is completely taking advantage of him. But I digress. I've told hubby many times I'd rather not get involved, and please don't involve me as it's a subject of contention, and time again I have broken the boundary to give him comfort or to listen to him vent, and I'm just tired of being made out to be the bad guy that knows nothing. So I told my husband today that I am standing firm on my decision this time, and I will no longer be breaking my boundary, so he is a little salty. There's an edit. We're going to read the first edit. Many people are assuming that I have an issue with the kid and genuinely do not love her. I am literally just tired of being unheard and treated like an idiot. I do love her very much. We have no other issues besides this. When I said I no longer want to be involved, I meant taking my support away from hubby because he turns all kinds of support into something negative. So in other words, she's not giving him advice anymore. She doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, that's so hard. Because, as the dad, you do want to make sure your kiddo's taken care of and you want to make sure they're loved. With the list just in the beginning of some of the stuff this lady has pulled, he should not be giving her any more money besides the child support. If something needs paid for, honestly, he should call the company and say, hey, here's what I'm being told needs to be paid for. Let me pay it. And honestly, you need to sit down with your husband and be like, okay, here's our budget. You cannot give any more money to this woman because here's what would happen if you did. Or just start taking the stuff, all of his spending money away. Be like, oh no, you gave it to your baby mama. And yeah, someone wrote, you're not the jerk. Hubby is for enabling his manipulative baby mama and disrespecting you in the process. He needs to grow a spine and take his baby mama back to court to sort out this mess. I couldn't agree with that more. That has 4,000 like votes. I mean, it's going to end your relationship. If your relationship is that important, you need to focus on this. And even if you just have a meeting, you don't have to offer advice. My husband likes to talk cars a lot. I cannot offer any input on cars. I know this is totally different than a kid, but I don't have any expertise when it comes to cars. So I can understand why the husband feels like, well, you don't have a kid, but you're naturally maternal. I drive cars. So I do have a little bit of input because I drive them. Where, you see kids, you see this kid, you've obviously known her 4 of her 6 years of life. You have some kind of foot to stand on. So you are definitely not the jerk. Okay, our last one today. Am I the jerk for not caring that my husband hates his job. So Hubs and I began dating when I was 26 and he was 34. At the time, he was working in a bar and I was a teacher. He's never really been driven when it comes to school or work and hasn't been able to find anything he's passionate about, learning or doing that could be a career. I never really minded for multiple reasons. Most importantly, being he's a phenomenal person. Fast forward, we fell in love, got married, and had our son Alex. Well, once Alex was a few months old, hubby decided that he did not want to keep working at a bar, understandable, and instead wanted to switch careers and move into tech sales like his brother. It was remote, which is something that he wanted so he could stay home with the baby. Hubby is amazing, extremely involved daddy. I supported him, and he ended up working with a recruiter and landed his first role. At the same time this was happening, I was very much wanting to get out of teaching. Like I said, I get the difficulty in finding something to be passionate about. I have a background in science and could not see myself spending my career teaching apathetic students anymore. So we made the decision that I would resign at the end of the school year, spend some time home with Alex, and figure out what to do next once the summer was over and I was no longer getting my paycheck from the school. I ended up finding a role in preclinical research, which is where I'm currently working. Unfortunately, tech sales are volatile, and in the span of less than 3 years, he's been laid off from 2 jobs, has had multiple months of employment, and is currently on role number 3. Now, with all that backstory, here is where my pickle lies. He has expressed multiple times in the last several months his lack of desire to be in sales, and has had multiple days where he talked about his depression at working in his job, and he hates it. In my mind, I'm like, seriously? I work 7 to 3:30 most days. Sometimes I have to work overtime. He takes Alex to daycare at 8 o'clock and is able to pick him up at noon, give him lunch, and put him down for a nap. And a lot of times when I get home from work, he's already finished and playing video games. All this to say, I feel like he has a pretty sweet gig. I've gotten to the point where I basically just told him to suck it up and do his job. And we may have gotten into an argument where I accused him of just not wanting to work. Am I the jerk here? He's currently 39, and I feel like he's a bit past the time where we have the luxury of finding ourselves and are more in the zone of saving for retirement. Am I wrong? So Reddit has dubbed this person the jerk. And I mean, everyone's entitled to their own feelings, but when you met him, it sounds like he's the same person he was when you met him. I mean, let's see, you were 26, so that means you're what, 31 now? And you're he's already like old. Okay, he's younger than me, but still. I think your expectations are too high. And frankly, depression's not anything to be messed with. He might need a little bit more compassion and support. Granted, you work a regular schedule, and maybe the work he does is hard. And yeah, he's done earlier, but he's basically doing two full-time jobs. He's taking care of the kiddo and he's working. So I'm like, But someone says, when I hated my job and complained about it to my wife, she always supported me. That helped me get out of the slump and into a better job. Oh, and I hate working. After work, I used to play games, but it doesn't mean I was doing well. It was just an escape from the work. And then the person says, you are the jerk for not supporting your husband here and instead just dismissing him. Please support him and help motivate him. Not saying you don't generally, but I mean in this context only. I would agree with that. You need to support your husband, show him empathy. Yes, there's times we hate our jobs. It's just life, but just to be there, support him, and have open conversations. Ask him what he wants to do. Challenge him. Ask if there's something he needs to go back to school for. You're not a jerk for being frustrated. You're a jerk for minimizing what he does just because it doesn't look like he's doing what you think he needs to do. That being said, I think that's all we have for today. I hope that everyone has a fantastic day. I hope you've enjoyed these Am I the Jerks? Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I would love to hear them. And I will see you all next time.